Blog Talk Radio.
Set to go, snap, ball down, kick up, kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! It's good!
Shotgun, there's the snap, it's still high. Quick throw, it's intercepted at the goal line. It's intercepted by Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler is intercepted Russell Wilson at the goal line. 20 seconds left.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Full Press Patriots Podcast. I am your host. I am Ian Glendon. I am the editor-in-chief of FullPressCoverage.com, and I am joined, as always, by the managing editor of the Full Press Patriots page. His name is Mike Debate. Mike, I hope you're getting pretty pumped up after that one.
Hello! La la la.
La la.
Oh, absolutely. How could you not get pumped after hearing some of those calls and just ready for Patriots football? Training camp's still about a month away, but you know the gods of fall and the boys of fall, they are calling. So it is time for Patriots football, and we are ready to talk some.
You know, the hardest thing about that was finding the right clips to cut. You know, there's so many great calls in the last couple decades of Patriots football. So, you know, I figured those were two good ones. The one that started it all, and probably one that will be the most memorable when it's all said and done, and that is the Malcolm Butler interception. Although we do know it is a little bittersweet, as Malcolm Butler is no longer a member of the New England Patriots. He has taken his talents down to Nashville to be a member of the Tennessee Titans, as has Dion Lewis. So, you know, we can still enjoy that call, because I think there's about zero ill will towards Malcolm Butler in New England and around Patriots Nation. I'm pretty sure you can agree with me on that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Malcolm Butler will always be a folk hero up here in New England. And, you know, bottom line is you make an interception like that, an indelible play that just endears you to the hearts and minds of every New England fan. He always did his job while he was here, and, you know, I don't know what happened toward the end. I guess, you know, we'll probably have to wait until Bill writes his tell-all book when he finally retires, if we may get that information. But as of right now, I think that it's just, moving on, and that's pretty much it. But, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. Malcolm Butler will always be revered for what he did up here, and rightfully so.
You know, I'm pretty sure I can ghostwrite Bill Belichick's book. I already got the whole book planned out. You know, we'll market it. It'll be a big to-do about, the book about Bill Belichick. And you open up the front cover, and all it says is "On to Cincinnati." And then there's about 350 blank pages following. So, yeah, I think if Bill is listening, which I'm sure he is, I'm just letting him know I am available to be hired to write that. And,
absolutely. Oh, man, I'll tell you. I can't imagine him not taking you up on that. I mean, that has got to be an amazing offer. And you got to know that the title of that thing is probably going to be "It Is What It Is."
Well, exactly. And it's like, look, if you want, between you and me, if you want to do the audiobook, you're my man. So, get in with this on me. Maybe we can make a little side hustle out of it.
Absolutely.
So,
we can tag
Bill
team
Belichick. Oh, yeah. And I think
absolutely.
we can
I'm completely on board.
Yeah, we can write it and record it probably within this episode. So, we'll keep everyone informed. So, but I do want to say once again, welcome everyone out there that is listening to us. This is our second Patriots podcast here on the Full Press Coverage Radio Network. And from the response that we got after the first episode, I think a lot of people enjoyed what we did. So we're hoping to once again bring an enjoyable show to you. Once again, like we will most weeks, we have a couple guests joining us today. This week it's going to be Steve Thompson and Chris Blackey of the Steve in the Hood podcast, our Boston-centric podcast that we just debuted yesterday. They're going to come on. We're going to talk some Patriots, and, of course, we'll talk about their podcast. And for all you out there listening, if you don't know who they are, you can follow them on Twitter. It's Steve and Thompson is at We Play for Titles, And the podcast is at Steve Hood POD. And you can follow Chris at Chris the Hood 420. And they'll be on with us around 7:30, so about 25 minutes or so. And we will talk more with them. But until then, it's just me and you, pal. So hope you're ready to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely ready to go.
I love Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, and Scott Zolak is joining us from time to time with his input. So yes, I love Tom Brady too. And you know what?
Yes, absolutely. I think we all do on the line.
I think that's a good place to start because we had on Monday was the conclusion of the NFL Network Top 100. It's the every year they poll the players and they vote on the top 100 players entering that season. And for the third time, Mr. Tom Brady was number one. And I mean, look, I would have been shocked if he wasn't. And I don't think either of us, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but we really don't obviously hold too much stock into a list that at one point ranked Tim Tebow as the 100th best player in the NFL. So really, this is just a bunch of nonsense. However, it is nice to see that Tom Brady does once again claim that top spot, and one of the best things that comes from those from that series is listening to some of the other players' opinions, and we'll have a few of them here, but one of the ones that stuck out to me was one of his nemesises, if that's a word. Is that a word, Mike?
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
I don't think nemesi is a word, so I'm going to go with nemesises. I think that's exactly. Yes. I think that is a word. I think Webster would back us up on that.
Although nemesis or nemesi does have a nice little ring to it, so we'll see. Maybe I can.
Does. I kind of do that. Maybe we can invent it. We'll put it in Bill's book.
There we go. That'll be chapter 6. I don't know what the other 5 chapters will be, but that'll be 6.
No, the word is powerful enough of itself to just have its own chapter, I think.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think for the most part, these chapter titles are going to be longer than the chapters themselves, but we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get to Pink Stripes.
That's true.
But
I mean, how many times can you just repeat the phrase, we'll do what's best for the team?
Do your job. But anyway, so we're moving on. We're going on to the NFL Top 100. We're talking about Brady, and one of the first people to speak in his segment was Von Miller of the Denver Broncos. And we all obviously know Von Miller as being a devastating force there on their D-line. And, they're not quite the team they were a couple years ago, but of course, Von Miller is still one of the best defensive players in the league. And this is how we open the Tom Brady segment.
Tom Brady is great. He's been great for a long time. And anybody that hates on him is just a hater. Because there's nothing that you can hate on Tom Brady about. He's battled through injury. He's fought through adversity on the football field and off the football field. He's done everything the right way. He's playing as long as anybody can play. He's taking care of his body, and he's winning championships at the same time. So if you hating on him, you're just a hater, and shame on you.
I love that. That made me happy, and it made the hairs on the neck of really all the haters curl. And but he kind of really sums it up, and he kind of looks past all that nonsense that the everyday troll or Patriot or Tom Brady hater will pound the drum with. He's not a good person, or he's not, he doesn't play the game the right way, this, that, and the other. Like, he's the best player in the league. He has been for a long time, and I think Von Miller spoke very well of him, and I appreciate that. And I have a newfound liking for Von Miller. Do you feel the same way, Mike?
I do. Von Miller has always been someone that I've got to respect his game, and there's no question about that. And he's one of the best in the league at what he does. The the fact that he described him, and I know you played the soundbite was excellent, and if you read a little bit more into some of the comments that he made that actually didn't make air, he compared Brady's playing at a high level and also with a fervor and enthusiasm of a man in his early 20s. You know, these guys, I think you even saw Russell Wilson come out this week and say that, you know, he believes that Brady is the greatest of all time and the greatest in the league right now. I mean, these are seasoned, highly decorated NFL veterans. They're also some of Tom Brady's fiercest competitors. In short, they know greatness. They know greatness when they see it. And Brady is still performing at a high level. So when his detractors, you know, point to his fans being overzealous about his place in NFL history, you take a look at guys in the league that know their football. They know they've played against Tom Brady. They're not speculating here. You know, even people in the media will give you that as well. Oh, well, you know, Brady, his fans just talk him up. I don't buy that. You know, you talk to people that have played in this league and played this game, they can tell you not only how tough Tom Brady is, but also how good he is. And to me, that's the essence of why he's the number one guy in this ranking. You know, his statistics make a strong case. There's no question about it. I mean, he was the 2017 NFL MVP. He was the MVP for a reason. He threw for over 4,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, only 8 picks. He did so. He played through both an Achilles and a shoulder injury. And then you take a look at what he did in the playoffs. Granted, people are going to point to him falling short in Super Bowl 52 against the Eagles. However, Brady finished the game with 505 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. One of the best, I think, overall performances in Super Bowl history. Definitely the best in a losing effort. So you've got to give the guy his credit, whether you love him, whether you hate him. I mean, you know, on the line here, I mean, we're dealing with people that really, you know, revere the guy very well. But regardless of what, you have to give him his props. And I think that's where comments like Miller's and comments like Russell Wilson's really ring true. These are guys that compete against Tom Brady on a daily basis. They're his competition. He's their competition, And for them to show that type of reverence to him shows how much respect he has throughout the league. So I think it was a consensus and a slam dunk pick for him to be number one. I know people, you know, I heard Bomani Jones and people on ESPN the other day question whether or not it was valid or, you know, if there was either sentiment or things like that factored into this decision. Take a look at the statistics and take a look at how people actually played this year in the NFL. Tom Brady is head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, so they were trying to infer that it was a lifetime achievement award, is what you're saying, or if you won by default. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see Bomani's. You know, I mean, up here in Boston, I reserve, you know, judgment on, you know, some of the things he said about the city and whatnot. That's an argument for another day, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But you know, I clicked on it simply because it was an opportunity for me to get feedback on, you know, what some people are saying about Brady. And that's essentially what it was. It was a comment about how they thought it was more of a lifetime achievement award rather than him being the best player in the game right now. Well, you know what? It's a little bit of both. And I think that if you take a look at everybody's statistics, I mean, he won the NFL MVP for a reason. And that reason was for him to have the best season from start to finish, from gavel to gavel. I saw a very astute tweet from you, my friend, regarding Carson Wentz. It's a couple of hours ago. I saw that on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree. I think that, you know, people would say, oh, well, if Wentz didn't go down, he would have been MVP. Well, I don't think it was that cut and dry. I think Tom Brady really dominated the league from gavel to gavel, and I think he deserved that award, and I think he would have had it whether Wentz went down or not.
Well, I remember at the time, actually, right before that game, before Wentz got injured, I remember writing something about this because everyone was, you know, at the time, right before the Eagles lost their first game, you know, he kind of had the edge because, you know, of course, you know, he's leading an undefeated team, whatever, you know, and at the time he was leading in touchdown passes, and that was it. And I remember writing a column for Full Press Coverage, highlighting that it's the only reason he's ahead is because people don't want Tom Brady to be ahead, and Brady at that point was clearly the better candidate. So like this, you know, it's turned into revisionist history. So like Wentz's argument for MVP has somehow gotten stronger since he went down, and the same argument that Patriots fans or Patriots haters would use against the Patriots had Brady gone down and the backup won a Super Bowl. It's crazy to keep track of just all the hypocrisies when it comes to when you hate on the Patriots, and it's just people don't even try anymore. But that's why you listen to guys like Von Miller who have played against him and had directly competed against him, in terms of him being on defense and Brady obviously being the quarterback. So, it's nice to see when some of the best players in the league, they kind of cut through all that BS and, they tell it like it is. And, I think Von Miller kind of nailed it and said, he's just a fierce competitor who's tough. And that's the other thing. It's like, this pro-Montana crowd that's somehow making another resurgence is, they'll claim that Brady couldn't, he's not tough enough, quote unquote, to play in the NFL of yesteryear, of the 80s and the 90s, the big bad NFL player. And it's ridiculous. First of all, how do you even come to that conclusion? What evidence or what formula did you put together or you concoct to come to that conclusion and say it so confidently and that that Brady couldn't do it? And I always try to tweet back and you'll know which one I'm talking about, the hit where Brady gets hit by Nate Clements of the Bills back in the day, and he just loses his helmet, gets level, gets right back up, grabs his helmet, goes right to the huddle. And yeah, I love that clip. I wish we had the video capabilities right now, and I would show it. But in my mind, I'm playing it, and I'm pretty sure most people who follow this team know what I'm talking about.
Well, it's true. Anybody that follows the team on a regular basis can tell you that. They'll be able to know that this guy has taken some serious hits. He's taken some serious, he's taken some serious injuries over the years, and he's been able to play through it. I mean, with the exception of the 2008 season, he has been pretty much an Iron Man. I mean, and you take a look at what he's been able to do. I mean, he's been as durable as anybody that you could possibly imagine. I love the argument, and it's funny that you hit the nail right on the head when you say about the Montana crowd kind of coming back through now saying, oh, well, Brady's too soft. Before it was, well, Brady hasn't won the amount of Super Bowls that Joe Montana won. Then, well, he tied him, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, well, he did lose a few Super Bowls. Well, suddenly getting to the Super Bowl and losing is somehow worse than not making it at all, which is a ludicrous, absolutely laughable argument. So now what they'll fall back on is the next argument, quote unquote, that they're able to put forth, and that is, oh, well, he's not tough enough to play in this generation. Anybody that plays this game will tell you that the players today, and if you think about it, they'll tell you that the players today are tougher. They're more well-conditioned. They actually hit harder. And it's a little bit more difficult today to elude some of these guys than before. Now, granted, there are more rules within the game that are designed to protect the quarterback. I understand that. I get that. But to say that the players in this league do not hit hard, that they're not tough, and that some of these hits are not impactful, like beyond belief, is amazing to me. Tom Brady is as tough as they come. Anybody that's either played with the guy or played, against the guy will tell you that. I had the opportunity to sit down, as you know, in a couple of months ago in the month of March with future Patriots Hall of Famer Matt Light. And one of the things that we discussed off camera was Tom Brady's toughness. And he says, man, I'll tell you, there is nobody tougher than that guy. I've seen him take shots in practice. I've seen him take shots in games. He says, and come back up. And he says, most guys would have had their bell rung. This guy just gets back up, and it's almost like he feeds off of it. I think it's a really lazy argument for people to try to attack his toughness. I think a lot of it might be because of the quote-unquote pretty boy image that he puts forth. You see him, standing out in front of an Aston Martin, or you see him doing James Bond mattress commercials and things of that nature. And it's easy for you to kind of, maybe poke at the guy's toughness, but he's as tough as they come. And yeah, I think that's a lazy argument. If that's what you're going to come at us with, then you need to do a better job than that.
Well, it's funny too, because you bring up toughness and all that stuff, and Brady, he's only missed time from injury, really just from that knee injury, and unfortunately it cost him an entire season. But that's one instance that injury forced him out of the game, and then you can even look right to the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl where he was recovering from that, wicked gash on his hand, which we found out well after the fact was pretty beat up. I mean, that was not just a little cut on the hand. That was, significant injury to a
that
very,
was pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Like I said, it's looking back at it now, it's like how the hell did he grip and throw a football? But he didn't. He did it, and unfortunately, they came up a little bit short in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't a issue of his hand costing them that game. So, it's. Like I said, at this point, people don't even try to fact check or even seem remotely right. They just throw out an opinion and treat it as facts. And, like I said last week, hashtag facts, that's all you really have to do is throw it out there. And, people are just going to eat it up and, they'll throw out some stupid argument. And it's like, it's that time of the year. And, I think Patriots fans are pretty seasoned at this point when it comes to that. You brought up Russell Wilson, and, I have a clip of him talking about Brady too. And, sure this will ruffle some haters' feathers.
When I look at him, and it's the same kind of mindset I try and get myself into from just watching him, he stays calm and he just does his job. Let's lock in on just the little things. Let my feet be right. Let my accuracy be right. Let my read be right. Let my eyes be right. And when you just keep watching him over the years, doing those little things over and over again, it's not some crazy thing. He's just doing the little things right when it's hard.
And that's the line. Those are the three words that I really enjoy, and I really liked about that. And it was when it's hard. And anyone, if you're good enough to be a starting quarterback on an NFL roster, you should be able to make plays when there is no pressure. You should be able to make plays in open air. You should be able to make plays when coverages break down. You have wide open receivers. What separates really good quarterbacks and good quarterbacks from the great and transcendent quarterbacks is, like Russell Wilson says, you do those same things without changing your game when the pressure is the highest. And I think, there's no quarterback that you can, like we said, at one point it was Montana. At one point Montana was that benchmark when it comes to quarterback play and playing under the pressure, under the big lights. But, Brady's redefined that argument. And now we look at Montana's failures when in the past those were never brought up because his successes were unprecedented. And now they've been surpassed, and we're forced to look at the 49-3 drubbing that he received at the hand of the Giants, or the fact that he went one and done 3 times in a 3 consecutive seasons. So it's just like I said, it's funny how this whole argument and debate evolves, and who knows where it's going to go from here. If he goes and wins another Super Bowl, or if he goes and loses another Super Bowl, you're talking pretty drastic swings of opinions from some of the more crazier fans out there.
Yeah, without question. I think that if he does end up winning another Super Bowl, I think that, we said this the last time too, though, but, if he wins another one, that he's up in that pantheon and he's in a class by himself, and yet the detractors are still there. So I think if he wins another one, I think it's definitely cementing his legacy as being the greatest of all time. Personally, I think that legacy has already been cemented. I don't think there's an argument. However, you can make a plausible argument if you wanted to. Some people are still clinging to that, and the argument can be had. However, if he does indeed lose another Super Bowl, if they were to go to Super Bowl 53 this year and come up short, then the detractors are really going to be out in full force, and the claws are going to be out. And I still think that even if he gets to the Super Bowl and loses again, I think it's a very, very difficult thing to start saying that it's going to take a lot away from his legacy. Anybody that truly knows the game of football, and you've seen a lot of people that really are true students of the game, will tell you that if Brady never played another down, or even if he does, go on to lose, more Super Bowls than he wins, he's already cemented his legacy as being one of the greatest of all time. It's a team game, just like we've said in the past. The team deserves credit for the win, but when you take a look at the constants that have been there since the Patriots dynasty has started in 2001, Tom Brady is the guy that's been there alongside Bill Belichick. So to take away from that and to say, like, oh, he's a product of the system, which absolutely goes up and down my spine like you wouldn't believe, and I know you're the same way, when they say that he's just a product of that quote-unquote system, I think it's a lazy argument. I think it's a terrible argument. And really, I think the only basis in that argument is to say, I hate Tom Brady, and this is how I'm going to pigeonhole his candidacy for being the greatest of all time, because it's really the only way that they can do it. They have to get an irrational argument in there to try to support their claim.
And irrational is just that, and it makes absolutely no sense. Because if you know anything about football, first of all, every offense has a system. Every coach has a system. Every team has a system that they play. With the Patriots, that system has evolved. It has changed. It has morphed. It has gone from 2 tight ends to from a run heavy to a 2 tight ends to a spread them out shotgun style offense to a hurry up style offense to a slot receiver centric offense to a running backs as a multi-tool weapon. It's absurd how many different offenses this team has run over the span of from 2000 until now. And like you said, the 2 constants, the 2 mainstays in this entire operation are Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And yet, people will still discredit Brady as being a product of the system when what they don't understand is that the system is successful because he is Tom Brady. I mean, people have been saying it for years, and it's true that the NFL is a copycat league. Everything that's done is copycat. I mean, look at the Wildcat, for Christ's sakes, or whatever. Look at the Wildcat. Look at, all these other, instances, different types of the 2 tight end offense for, for what we're talking about with the Patriots has been copied. So how come in these 20 years has no one been able to replicate and copy this system that is incredibly successful in order to win Super Bowls? Because according to the anti-Brady crowd out there, all you got to do is run the system, and anyone can play the game and win. I mean, hell, Matt Castle took a 16-0 team to 11 wins and no playoffs. That's in their book that's a successful season. So, but in all fairness, most of these people are Dolphins and Bills and Jets fans who almost making the playoffs is considered a successful season. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole bunch of nothing. So when people bring up the whole system thing, it's just, I laugh because I realize there's no winning that argument with these people. And I understand that there's nothing I can say to change their mind because they just don't understand the game and they don't understand it, and they're talking with their emotions. So
absolutely, and I think when we talked to Murph last week, I think he hit the nail right on the head. Tom Brady is the system, folks. That's what it comes down to. You made a great point about saying how the systems have changed throughout the years. The Patriots offense has gone through so many different combinations, permutations throughout the last 18 years of Brady's career. So in order to make that argument and say, oh, it's just the system, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Matt Castle was successful. I mean, do you start looking around and saying, well, look at the supporting cast that Matt Castle had, and maybe that helped carry them to where they were? He had an incredible Randy Moss. He had Wes Welker. He had a lot of great weapons on that team that allowed him to be the quarterback that he was. So I think in terms of system, I don't think it's necessarily the system. I think it's the talent around you that allows you to do that, and also the coaching of Bill Belichick. I mean, they're hand in hand. I mean, nobody's denying that Brady hasn't benefited from having the greatest coach in NFL history. But it's also remiss to say that Belichick hasn't benefited from having the greatest quarterback in NFL history. These two came together as a perfect storm in a dynasty that I don't think we'll see again in sports. So to me, I think it's an open and shut case. But, you'll get people that are still going to continue to argue. And we're going to hear from them, my friend. They're out there,
yeah,
and they're ready to pounce. They've got their cheese in their hand, and they're all set. They're ready to go. So, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I don't think it's much of an argument.
Yeah, it's only June, so it's only getting ramped up. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is coming back this season, so we all know that he's if he's healthy, the Packers are a lock. It's
oh yeah, and then
you're ready for it. You're ready for it.
Yeah. Every game that they lose, though, is going to be.
Yeah, you know how the script goes. Like, he didn't have any defensive help. There's no one on defense to help him. Blah,
he
blah,
doesn't
blah.
have an offense. He basically takes on all these teams by himself.
Yeah, no. Well, he is Superman, and he's the most talented thrower of the football ever, and he, there's things that he does that no one else does. Every cliche in the book. It's just been talked to exhaustion at this point because. Clearly that's all they have is, and I mentioned it last week when we were talking about it. It's all hypotheticals and abstract concepts, to quote Will Kane again, because that's what you have. You're trying to make a case for a guy that has won one Super Bowl 8 years ago to be the greatest of all time and better than a guy that goes to the Super Bowl essentially every other year. So it's just, to me, it's one of those things where you can't figure out what their thought process is, but I guess in the end we know what the results are going to be and everything like that. So, but before we move on, because we have our two guests are going to be calling in any moment now. I forgot to mention this last week, but I do want to make sure I do it this week. We have partnered with a brand new daily fantasy app, and do you play daily fantasy, Mike? Do you ever go win some big bucks doing that?
I haven't won any big bucks yet, but I'm definitely intrigued by it, Ian. Please enlighten our listeners as to the new partnership that we're very excited about here at Full Press.
Well, I'm guessing probably the reason why you haven't been able to win big money is, you got guys that play these games that's all they do. They devote day in, day out. They invest in fantasy football. They know the third string running back for the Cleveland Browns. They know what he does and who's going to, and that's what you really have to do to win big money at those things. So for the most part, you're either throwing the money away or just winning pennies. So we recently partnered with Thrive Fantasy. It's a brand new daily fantasy app, and Thrive Fantasy is a new, like I said, daily fantasy sports app engaging the everyday fan. No longer do you need to research every player on every team in order to be successful. So, let's say we don't have the time to really dive into the depths of these teams. We focus, they focus mainly on, the big players, the ones that people know with prop betting. Thrive solely asks about top-tiered athletes while also completely changing the game flow. So you'll select 10 different prop bets out of 15 to 20 options, and you enter games, and they have free contests. Right now it's NFL. So if you want, go over to fullpresscoverage.com. The main page, you can look on the right. You'll see a logo for Thrive Fantasy. Go ahead and click that. And follow the link. Sign up. It's free to sign up. And, of course, you can join into some smaller games and enjoy. So, I mean, I've played already a few times. I've won a couple bucks, so I'm working on it. So I encourage you, Mike, to do that.
Oh, will do. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Well, without further ado, I would like to welcome in both Stephen Thompson and Chris Blackey of Stephen the Hood Podcast. They recently joined up with us here at fullpresscoverage.com, so you can find their podcast on our site, and their first episode is now up. So if you go over to fullpresscoverage.com, you can find it in some of the recent articles. So welcome to the show, Stephen and Chris. How are you doing today?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? How are you?
Just enjoying a wonderful Wednesday evening, second episode of our Patriots podcast here. So, if you were listening to Mike and I just a moment ago, we've been talking about the NFL Top 100, and I figure we could kind of continue with that to start, and then we'll move on to a couple other things. But, excuse me. We were talking about how, essentially, and we're going to assume that you both agree that Brady should have been the number one player on this list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean
it's not too surprising.
Yeah, so we're all in agreement here, but it's funny. Like I see these questions being posed to fans or whoever. Can Aaron Rodgers? This has been my favorite one. Can Aaron Rodgers, if you have 2 minutes on the clock, you're down X amount of points, blah blah blah. Who do you take? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers? And I think it's a stupid question. I don't think there's any. Really, I mean, like even a Green Bay Packers fan, if you remove that fandom, there really is no option. I mean, it's a dumb question. Like, I mean, you want to go with a guy who's done it time and time again on the biggest of stages, or a guy who's hasn't done it consistently. And that kind of epitomizes the whole Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady argument, and that kind of brings us all back to this top 100 because, of course, people had problems with it. And I played a clip from Von Miller, who kind of summed up from a competitor's standpoint what he sees in Tom Brady and how it affects him. It's pretty much what we see. So I just want to get you guys' thoughts in general about the top 100 and anything you might have to add in terms of, just how you see this anti-Brady argument and just if there's ever going to be an end to it. Does he need a couple more Super Bowls? Who knows?
No, I mean, there's always going to be haters no matter what he does. He could finish with 8 or 9 Super Bowls and people will always throw out the cheater argument or whatever, or Peyton was better or whatever nonsense they want to come up with just to probably irritate us fans. But it's funny how like he's such hated with other like fan bases, but opposing players love him.
And that's the crazy thing. Like these fans that hate him won't take their word for it. They just no, Brady's a cheater. He sucks. He can't take a hit.
Which is kind of funny in a way because all of us fans, and we have people we hate too on other teams, obviously, but all of us fans who talk and put people down on the field, we be put in a hospital by the hits that these people take.
Oh, absolutely. You kidding me?
I mean, it's crazy. As far as Brady goes, the thing that drives me the craziest about people's point on him is when they call him a system quarterback. That's always irritated me more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we
I mean,
were.
As
Mike
far
and
as
I
Brady and Rodgers
go,
I mean, can you really go wrong with either one?
No,
I mean, obviously you can take Brady first, but the problem I see is fans in general keep clamoring for a Rodgers-Brady Super Bowl, and I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, that's the crazy thing.
I kind of share your.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Chris, that's a great point, and I kind of share your sentiment on that. I don't know if we're ever going to get that dream Brady-Rodgers Super Bowl. I think if it doesn't happen this year, I think that's pretty much the window closed on that. It's funny that you mentioned the hate that kind of surrounds that whole thing where, you say that he's really liked by, and I think Steve brought this up too, is that he's very well liked by his competitors, but the fans are the ones that kind of fan that fire where, like you said, Ian, he won't, he's not going to win that argument with them. It's always going to come back to the cheater argument, and it's always going to come back to Deflategate or Spygate or he's lucky or it's the system or anything like that. Really what it comes down to with these fans is they're sick of seeing Tom Brady every year, and people can argue the point. People can say, oh, no, that's not it. Take a look at this. They'll give you statistics. They'll give you yards per attempt and all that garbage. But when it comes right down to it is any opportunity they will have to pigeonhole the guy, they're going to take it. They are so thirsty for an opportunity to really pigeonhole Tom Brady that when there's nothing there, quote unquote, as one of my favorite analogies, they're going to drink the sand, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. So, yeah, I think that I think you hit the nail right on the head, Chris. When it comes to the system quarterback argument, that's like fingernails on the chalkboard, and it's a very, very weak argument. And we talked about that a little bit earlier as well.
It's crazy to me that he's a system quarterback. The thing is, they always keep pointing to that Castle season. That's the only argument that I've ever heard from anyone who keeps calling him a system quarterback. That schedule overall was fairly weak. If Brady had been playing that season, there's a chance they don't lose at all that season, maybe a game.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, too, is Castle threw 27 fewer touchdowns that season than, Brady's 50, and, won 5 fewer games, and 5 fewer games for most teams, and from one season to the next generally means you miss the playoffs, and that's what happened with the Patriots. It just happens that they were able to eke out 11 wins. So, but that's just like you said. They always point to that particular season as to why Brady's a system quarterback, and it's awful. It's a terrible argument because, like we said before, he is the system. That's why guys like Wes Welker and the Danny Amendolas and Deion Branch and Troy Brown and so on and so forth, have come in and been successful in this system with Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is the one throwing the ball. Speaking of Edelman, we obviously we know that he had his appeal hearing this past Monday, so we're still kind of waiting for the results of that. We should hopefully have it by the end of the week, I would imagine, because generally these things get turned around pretty quickly. Before I get you guys' opinion, we do have a caller who had called in from Atlanta, so I just want to welcome him into the show, and he wants to talk about Edelman and Gronk. So I believe it was Naz. Go ahead. As soon as the system plugs the phone in.
I love Tom Brady.
Yes, I know Scott Skilback. He likes to chime in and just remind us all that he loves Tom Brady. Well,
Zoe's always around to remind us of that. It's always important to hear it.
No, well, unfortunately, I mean, we did have a caller, and I'm hoping to get this going, but apparently the phone is not connecting. So let's just give it a moment. But so I'll move on and ask you guys. What do you think this outcome with Edelman, what do you think his appeal is going to, is it going to be reduced? Is it going to be eliminated? Or do you think he's going to be sitting out 4 games come September?
You want to take that, Steve?
You can go ahead.
I think, it could go down to 2, but I ultimately wouldn't be surprised if it stays put. I mean, when's the last time the NFL ever gave the Patriots a break?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, he's trying to get off on a technicality.
I'm just going to interrupt you real quick. I think we got our caller from Atlanta on. Are you there?
Yes, I am. How you guys doing?
All right. Doing pretty good. Sorry about that.
Hey, it happens, man. Look, I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm in Atlanta, but you guys got some interesting topics, so I wanted to kind of comment. But before I get to the Edelman thing, can I just say something real quickly about Brady? Because like with the NBA, I don't do this who's the GOAT, who's the top. I just do, okay, who can walk in the big room of the best, and Tom Brady's one of those people. Anybody who's called him a system quarterback has never actually studied how the game breaks down. You don't watch to see, what happens as far as outcome. You watch process. And with Brady, you see ball placement, you see understanding of coverages, you see manipulation of the other team, which is why they've been able to sustain success for so long. And for people to still be doubting Brady at this point, it's like, okay, you're having an emotional argument. These are these people who tell you all the reasons why LeBron James is not a good basketball player. Like, at a certain point, man, we got to just stop engaging with these people on these topics. But as far as Edelman, I'm to the point. Look, man, I watch football to be entertained and because I like it. So, okay, Julian Edelman may have done this. If you were working on Wall Street, would you not take the study little pill that all the kids are taking in order to try to complete their PhD? If you were a bricklayer, you wouldn't. If you could extend your career or your earning potential by doing something to strengthen your back, you wouldn't do it. Like, I wish people would put themselves in other people's moccasins before they get all, wholly on people. Like, okay, Edelman may have done it. He may have to miss some games. But if you're telling me this dude is trying to extend his career and he's willing to risk his own health in order to do so, that's a personal decision. Leave the man alone. And look, I hate everything about Gronk, the way he acts, talks, and everything else. But that dude is the best tight end I've ever seen. So the people who criticize Gronk, I mean, if you're keeping it off the field, okay, yeah, I don't like the frat boy type of, personality. But as far as on the field, man, that dude can ball. And hopefully y'all mess up that relationship and trade him, and hopefully he comes down here
to HGH. I do want to add that. But I'm going to hang back and listen to y'all, man. But I just wanted to comment on this stuff because we're getting real sports radio-y nowadays to the point to where people just be arguing ridiculous stuff and think they got a legit argument where it's like, dude, just go somewhere, man, okay? You don't think Tom Brady's good? Okay, I won't talk to you about football.
You know, we haven't had many callers on this show or any of our other shows, but I can safely say you're definitely my favorite. You made some great points, and absolutely call back anytime. You're always welcome.
That was incredible.
No, we'll do,
no doubt.
Thanks. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, you too.
Have a good one.
No,
that's some
great
points right there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we at a point now where if, you know, HCH basically should just be accepted knowing that people are trying to do what they can to get back on the field? Is it really hurting the product on the field when people are doing this?
No, and I think that was exactly what I wanted to key in on. It was, you know, people lump HGH and steroids into one, you know, mean drug or whatever you want to call it, you know, one bad substance. And look, you know, I understand that, yes, HGH is illegal under the NFL's performance-enhancing, policy. I get that, but, you know, our caller brought up a great point. It's like, especially in football, these guys have a very small shelf life when it comes to playing and earning an income. And the more and more we find out how this game affects them long term, you know, if Edelman can earn a little bit more, or you know, extend his career a little bit, or anyone recovering from an injury by using HGH, I mean, I think that's a personal decision. I don't think it personally affects or enhances the product on the field. I think it just pushes the recovery. And now, obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know everything about the drug, but you know, I think I have to agree with the caller. I mean, I think he brought up a great point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, he said everything perfectly to a T. You couldn't ask for a better explanation than what the caller gave. Perfect.
Well, the good thing is since we are all Patriots fans, he brought some balance to our show, and it kind of, you know, keeps things in perspective, because, like, you know, you can hate the athlete from a competitive standpoint. Like, you know, I don't think I'll ever like a player that plays on the Montreal Canadiens. It's just in me as a Bruins fan. I can't do it. I hate every player that played for the Canadiens. I can't do it. So I get that,
right.
But there's a certain extent that you can hate the player but respect what they've done, and I feel like there's not much of that with people who hate Brady. I think they hate him, and they hate him then some. And you know, like I said, it was nice to hear someone from, you know, I'm going to assume that he's a Falcons fan, but, you know, you never know because people do move from all over the place. But, no, he brought up some great points.
It's true. And, you know, Brady falls into that umbrella that a guy like Derek Jeter would fall under, where they just have a life that is so perfect that there's nothing to pigeonhole. And I think a point that I tried to make earlier is that it is like it's any type of opportunity that they can take to either downplay or poke holes or kind of, you know, tweak the armor of Mr. Perfect, quote unquote. They're going to do that. It's like an oasis in the desert, and when they find out that oasis doesn't have any water, they'll drink the sand. That's exactly what happens with Tom Brady, and I think you see a lot of people, because of their blind hatred for the Patriots, for Bill Belichick, for the success that they've had, that's exactly what happens, and Brady kind of gets lumped into that. I think you will see a renaissance of Tom Brady's greatness. Unfortunately, you're going to see it when he retires. When people step away and they don't have that same hatred for him anymore, I think you'll see it a little bit more revered. But there are people that are going to dig their heels in no matter what. It's funny that you mentioned the Montreal Canadiens and you say that, you know, there's nobody that I can like on that team. It's true. You learn to really hate the laundry, and you hate the player as a result of that. We have a lot of fun at the expense of Peyton Manning up here. I think, you know, we've all had the jokes and, you know, chicken parm, you taste so good, you know, all that crap. But, you know, I mean, anybody that uses their eyes and their common sense, you know, cut that meat. Yeah, exactly. It depends on, you know, it depends on your mood at the time, I guess. But anybody that uses their eyes and uses their common sense can appreciate what the guy did, including the argument about HGH. I mean, this is a guy that had neck fusion surgery. You know, I mean, if he took HGH to get back on the field, how do you really hate the guy for doing that? I think it's a tough argument, and that's something that the caller did put forth. So, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you guys when it comes to the Brady hate and how kind of ridiculous it is. It's nice to see people that can put aside that hatred for the laundry and appreciate the player for what he is. That's, I think, what everybody on the line right now tends to do. We all follow each other. We all see each other's arguments. We all can appreciate the greatness of someone, even if we don't like the particular uniform that they wear. It's a shame that not everybody can get behind that, but I guess it's part of what makes sports great.
Oh,
well, really, in the end, people hate winners. In the end.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Well, Stephen and Chris, I want to before we want you to we're going to talk a little bit about your podcast here in a minute because you just jumped on board with us here at Full Press Coverage. So we're going to be hosting your podcast for a very long time, hopefully. So, but before we, so actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you guys the floor. Let us know, a bit about what the show's about, and then I do have a couple. I know we're a Patriots podcast, but I do have a couple Bruins-related questions for you guys because I know you talked about it on your show. So have the floor and let us know about the show and more about that.
Take it away, Steve.
All right, cool. Yeah, we've been diehard Boston sports fans. We've been around for a couple of years. We started out as a Facebook Live show that we did like a few times a week, and then kind of get sick of doing that, so we decided to go the podcast route. Last August we started. And just a little bit of background about me and Chris. We've known each other for probably 30-plus years, so I think we have a pretty good chemistry on air. We're down-to-earth people. We're fans of all Boston teams, but we're not, green teamers or whatever you want to call it.
Pink hatters.
Yeah, I mean, we see things from all angles. There's no BS, so we have a lot of fun doing it. So it's pretty much it. We've had a lot of good guests on. We've had Adam Kaufman on.
Adam's
last
a good
night
Celtics follow.
Yeah, we had Sam Sheehan on from Celtics blog in CLNS, so he was a good guest. Also, last night we had Colin Beswick on from Stanley Cup of Chowder. So we've had Keith Falk on. Just seems like, we're like an interview-based podcast. Just seems like the guests keep getting bigger and bigger each week. So, like I said, it's a ton of fun. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a great listen, and for anyone out there, I know we have a lot of Patriots fans, and except for one, I know Mike will know who I'm talking about. We have one Patriots fan out there that just happens to double as a Montreal Canadiens fan, so he probably won't be too interested in in listening to it. But I do recommend it.
We love him.
Yeah, that's right. I hope he's listening right now. But yeah, if you guys, most people that are listening to us now either enjoy Boston sports or at least are fans somewhat of some of the teams. So, I highly recommend giving it a listen. It's going to be up on our website every week. You can search. You can either go directly to the website. You'll find a link to it, and also we have it up on YouTube. So just search Full Press Coverage on YouTube and also on iTunes at Full Press NFL. Before we let you guys go, like I said, I did want to talk a little bit of Bruins with you because it's kind of an exciting time, whether it's false hope or not. But one of the bigger potential free agents, in the last, decade. I mean, I guess you can throw Steven Stamkos up there a couple of years ago. John Tavares has taken a meeting with the Bruins, and it has reportedly been one of the shorter of the two meetings, but that may not necessarily be a bad thing. Personally, I am of the opinion that when you have a guy of his talent, at his age, I don't care how you do it. I don't care what you have to do. If he wants to play for the Bruins, you make it happen. And, do I think it's actually going to happen? Probably not. I think he eventually goes back to the Islanders. But, we can only dream, right? So, I just, yeah, exactly. I tweeted yesterday, it's kind of like, you read all these updates about the meeting and who is attending the meeting, and it's like that great Vince McMahon gif where he just, he's sitting on the chair, just like gradually getting more and more excited, and then he eventually falls back in the chair. Of course, on the other end, it was a, minimally clothed woman, but, same concept, the idea of John Tavares sliding in and playing a role on this Bruins team that's already deep from the center position hey, I'm all for it. So I just want to hear what you guys have to think.
Well, I mean, initially I started out thinking, there's no chance. I mean, I don't see it happening. That's I'm starting out. And then I'm thinking to myself, you got to sit at the table. That's all you can really ask for and just hope that it goes through. I woke up this morning after doing our podcast last night saying, this probably doesn't happen. I was talking to my cousin today, and I say, no, I got a hunch this is going to end up going down one way or another. I don't know if it is. Maybe it's my Bruins fandom just hoping it happens. But I kind of like it that it was a short meeting than the others. That, to me, tells me that the Bruins management went in with a plan of action of how we're going to present what you can do for this team. Here it is. Let's just get to the point, and let's see what happens. I don't think they're favorites, but I think they're a sleeper in this.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm kind of, I guess, hopeful for, and I'm kind of with you guys with, they came in with a plan, and they delivered exactly what, that tells me that they know what they want from him. They know what they can provide him. I mean, it could have been something just as long as, like, look, we're going to win a Stanley Cup in the next few years. Now, you can join and turn that one Stanley Cup into maybe 2 or 3 and be a part of a team that will consistently be in the hunt for the Cup. And I think that to Tavares would be very appealing. And, that would mean ultimately, look, they want to get rid of Backes already. We know that. But this is likely would be the end of David Krejci too, but which, like I said, as much as I love David Krejci and I think he kind of gets, kind of a bad rap, or, he's kind of a scapegoat in a lot of times. Sometimes he deserves it. Other times I think it's just piling on. But, hey, I'll drive him to the airport if that's what it takes. I'm all in on John Tavares. If John Tavares is in the black and gold, and the real black and gold, not Pittsburgh, not the Steelers, this is the real black and gold, the Boston Bruins. If he's in that uniform when the puck drops, whew, I don't know if I can contain myself.
Black and gold till I'm dead and cold.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Exactly. Well, I do want to say once again, thank you guys for joining us, and we're absolutely going to have you on a more regular basis once we get our ground and our foot in the dirt and ready to go moving forward. So once again, you guys can always check out their podcast. You can find it on fullpresscoverage.com. You can follow Steve Thompson on Twitter. It's at We Play for Titles. You can follow Chris. It's at Chris the Hood 420. And you can follow the podcast at Steve Hood POD. And you can also, very last one, you can follow them on Twitter at DieHardBOS Fans. I think I got that all
actually,
correct, guys. So
actually, hold on a second. Actually, I changed my Twitter handle.
Oh, you did?
I did over the weekend, which is probably a mistake because everyone knows me as that name. But I actually got it as my regular name now. It's at Chris _ Blackey, BLACKEY. So, but I like to say before we leave, I'd just like to point out that. You and Mike got a good show. You guys got a good thing going on here at Full Press, and me and Steve are very happy to be in this umbrella with you guys. You guys do good work, and keep it up.
Oh, that means a lot.
So we're equally excited. I can guarantee you that. I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan of the work that these guys do. They mentioned their podcast, and I think Steve summed it up perfectly. They've had some excellent guests. You mentioned Keith Folk. They've also had NBC Sports Boston's Evan Drellick on. They've had Big Jim Murray from 98.5 The Sports Hub. Some pretty heavy hitters within the Boston sports media world. And these guys can hold their own with the best of them. So definitely check out their great work. We're really, really excited to begin that partnership with them, and wishing you guys the best. And we're looking forward to great things.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
But the two people we have coming on next week are it's pretty ridiculous.
You want to give a little teaser? Next
well, you
week.
need a teaser. We just tell you who it is. I mean, what do you want?
We could.
Want me to just tell you who it is?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's for all the listeners out there,
right.
So we know.
We got Ryan Patton's coming on. He has a hockey channel up on Sirius XM in Canada, talking hockey, and we have the camera guys actually coming on from NBCS Boston, kind of give a behind-the-scenes take of what they do. So.
That
not necessarily so much sport-wise. I think with them it's going to be more of a behind-the-scenes look of what they do with the camera and, what type of experiences they've had along the way, sports-related, obviously. But it's going to be a good show. Hopefully by then we'll have some virus news to talk about with Ryan. So,
yeah,
that's going to be a fun time.
And I'm looking forward to hearing your talk on Dustin Pedroia as well, and the Brandon Phillips signing and what that means for the Boston Red Sox as well.
Well, if we had more time, we get into it, but we'll probably be talking here till the end of the show.
And it'll be the Patriots / Bruins / Red Sox show.
We'll leave that piece to your great show, my friend, and hopefully that'll entice our listeners to call in. And like we said, we can definitely not highly recommend you guys enough.
Thank you.
Well, we're definitely planning on having you guys on too. So I mean, it's a good partnership. It's going to be fun times for all of us.
Win-win-win, I'd say. So,
thanks.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for all the kind words. It's certainly humbling because sometimes my ego can get a little out of control. And Mike, I always got to keep Mike in check. I got to make sure that he's keeping a level head. He's bound to go off at any minute.
Head swells to levels that you can't even imagine, guys. It's terrible.
Like
it's funny.
Peyton Manning head swell.
Right. You two remind me so much of me and Steve. It's pitiful.
Yeah.
Well, it's
not a bad thing. It's funny.
It's funny. We haven't known each other quite as long, but we do happen to have a mutual friend that we've known for about the same amount of time. So it's funny how small this world works. So
yeah, it really is.
Absolutely.
But, well, thanks once again, and you guys can, everyone out there listening can find their first podcast. It's up there on fullpresscoverage.com, and we will be looking forward to the episode next week, and hopefully we'll have it up on Wednesday. So once again, thank you guys, and we will talk to you soon.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Have a good show, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. No, that was great. So Chris and Steve, they're going to be a great addition to our full press coverage family. And if you haven't already, go ahead and go up and listen to their latest show. You can search on the website, or you can find it on YouTube or iTunes. So
absolutely. In this business, and Ian and I can tell you that it's so refreshing when you get a chance to interact with really good people, and we're blessed. I mean, the people that we've got a chance to interact with on a regular basis, from Tom Murphy to Steve Balestrieri to Pete Shepard, and guys that have been on, Russell Baxter, friends of the program that have really been amazing to us and what we've been able to try to do. Chris and Steve are right up there, and they provide a great listen, and they really provide a great insight as to what Boston sports fans are thinking, and they're absolutely right. They're not the pink hat type. If there's something that they have to criticize, they're going to hit you between the eyes with it. There's no fluff. There's no frills. It's 100% raw, honest feeling, and that's one of the reasons why I think we're such big fans. So we definitely encourage it, and we're excited.
Absolutely, and like I said, we're looking forward to what both these shows and can bring to all of our fans out there. And like I said, I highly encourage everyone to go out there and follow them, follow this podcast, and go subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes and all that stuff. And make sure you never miss an episode, because you never know when it's going to be the perfect episode. Because I know we're bound to get one of those out there sooner or later. So.
And maybe one of these days we'll actually have the real Zoe on, and he'll tell us how much he loves Tom Brady.
What are you talking about? He's right here in studio. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said he was in here. I mean,
I love Tom Brady.
See?
Well, we
I
know, Scott, we understand.
Well, like I said,
after he says that, we have to give him a sedative every now and then, and we have to.
Well, it would get a little out of control. I mean, we are trying to do a show here, and every 30 seconds or so, he's just over my shoulder telling me how much he loves Tom Brady, and I can't help but agree with him. And fortunately,
the whole thing in a nutshell is if we really, really wanted to try to calm that situation, just give him the iPod, put the headphones in, tell him to do a couple of laps on. He can play Josie, and everything will be all set. That's another thing. That's another really pet peeve of mine. If you could just give me the floor for 1 second, people call that song Josie. The name of the song is "Your Love" by the Outfield.
Yep.
It is not Josie. It is not Josie's on a Vacation Far Away. That is the opening line of the song, but that is not the title of the song. Okay, I digress.
No, I'm glad you brought that out because that's something I noticed too, and it drives me crazy because it's like, just get the name right. Just get the name right. Come on now. It's just being lazy. Do some research.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, they're also the same band that did the iconic "Winning It All," which anybody that is our age knows that was the song that always closed the NBA season when Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing and those guys were winning titles, and also it was the iconic closing credits of probably one of your favorite movies, one of my favorite movies, The Mighty Ducks. So you gotta give the song credit. You gotta give the band credit for being an icon when it comes to professional sports.
Well, I've said in the past I have a love-hate relationship with the movie Mighty Ducks. So. And unfortunately, we do only have 53 minutes left, so I can't quite dive into that, with all the things we have on tap, still to come.
Yeah, that would probably be like if you got me into talking about Cobra Kai, I could probably go on and on and on, and I will not do that.
Well,
I already got in trouble with Murph once over that. Pamela and I were trying to hijack the show and just make it a Cobra Kai night. He really, I thought Murph was hit the roof.
I could see him getting angrier and angrier, and as we know, you don't want to make him angry.
No, you do not.
No, I that's the thing. Maybe we'll do like a special, maybe like a Sunday afternoon special, where we'll just talk about our gripes when it comes to movies and or things we like about. Well, speaking of which, and I am gonna kind of go off track here a little bit because you know what, I can do that. I don't really care. I don't got anyone to answer to. So you know what? I'm going to talk about what I want right now. And what I want to talk about is that show Fargo. Okay. Yeah, you've seen the movie, right? The William H. Macy, all that. Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, I just completely missed the boat on the show, and I started kind of watching it this week, and I binged through the first season, and it has what's his guy? The guy Martin Freeman, the Hobbit. He's in it.
Yep.
Who else? Billy Bob Thornton, he's the bad guy, the creepy bad guy. It's great. I haven't really got too much into the second season, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I kind of felt like how somehow I missed the show because it's been out. Apparently there's like 4 seasons of it, so who knows? I don't know if you've seen
iconic.
it, but yeah,
I mean the
movie's
iconic. William H. Macy, Frances McDormand. I mean, really, if you think about it, that really launched the careers of those two fine actors, and they've gone on to amazing careers as a result of that. I haven't seen the show, so it's funny that you mentioned that. I may have to indulge. I may have to check that out.
Well, I highly recommend it, and I would consider myself a bit of a TV junkie, so it's one of those things where it's tough to get myself into a new show, but usually I get hooked pretty quickly, and I was pretty fascinated that first episode, and it's a different story from the movie, so it's not just an adaptation of the movie. It's different, but it's good. It's good.
Shows have always been an issue with me. I think since 24, it's really been difficult for me to religiously find the time to just sit and watch and make the time. That was appointment viewing, and I know we share an absolute love affair with that show. That was unbelievable. I mean, Game of Thrones aside, which is just an out of body experience when you watch that, but. I mean, there are certain, you can binge watch that. It's HBO. It's a little bit different. When it comes to like appointment viewing and things like that, I think that's something that I miss. And binge watching is great. It allows you the opportunity to be able to do that. So, Fargo might have to be on the list. I may have to take a look. It's on Hulu. I have a Hulu subscription,
Hulu.
So that's the only reason why I ask.
Yeah, no, it's Hulu, I believe. It might be on Netflix too, but I watch it on Hulu. I just, like I said, I was thinking about it as, like I said, I'm a big Billy Bob Thornton fan, so I mean he kind of sucked me in onto that show. So it's definitely something I'm glad.
Yeah,
I like finding new shows, but I'm kind of with you. It's you miss the as much as I do like the binge watching. You know, when 24 was originally airing, I mean that was like, okay, you're going to be gone from 5 to 10 o'clock. You set your VCR, you start recording the TV at 5 o'clock, and hope that there's enough tape to get the entire episode of 24. And that's pretty much the situation. So now, granted, I was always there live, but just to give you an idea of what kind of time we were living in back in 2001.
Absolutely. And in the heyday of that show, it was before I think DVR really became something that you could absolutely rely on. So you found yourself like running around, like, using the bathroom or getting water or whatever you had to do during that commercial break. And I remember 24 being the show that I absolutely loved for that, because you always had that countdown clock that reminded you that the show was about to start again. And it was like that moment, that 5 seconds or whatever that you had to like get back into the chair or get back onto the couch that you were watching it. It was almost like that little warning light that reminded you, like, hey, it's back. And there's just something about that you have to miss when it comes to shows. Oh man, yeah. Now you've done it. Now you're gonna make me go back and start from season 1. I think I'm gonna have to do it.
Hey, that's never a bad thing, And anyone out there that has never seen 24 before, stop what you're doing at 9 o'clock when we're off the air and go watch that show. I don't care what you have to do it. Watch the show, enjoy it. It's Kiefer Sutherland at his finest. But before again, that's I mean I could talk for 24 hours on that show if I had to. So I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on that, because I feel like we're just going to dive right into a season by season breakdown. And I do have a couple more things that, we want to get to today. And since we're still, I guess, kind of in the talking about Edelman and stuff like that, and I did want to read a quote, and I'm sure you've seen this, and to any of the listeners out there, I'm going to give you a chance to guess who this is, but I'm just going to read it directly. This person appeared on ESPN recently talking about the Edelman suspension. It's administered by a neutral third party and handled by arbitration. There's no court proceeding. There's no commissioner, judge, jury, and executioner. None of that. Secondly, players are responsible solely and completely for everything they put in their body. There are no exceptions to that. Third, if there is a substance that they cannot recognize, that would be a red flag. Who said those words, Mike?
Okay, let's see. So if you evaluate the actual comments that you just made, condescending, check.
Yes.
Closed-minded, check. Hypocritical, check.
Double check.
Ridiculous, check. I'm guessing Bill Polian.
Yeah. Clap, clap, clap. That's the sound effect that we have, because I don't have any other sound effect for clapping. I probably should have thought ahead, but nope, that's exactly it. And that was Bill Polian on ESPN. And it's funny because, of course, we're alluding to the fact that the whole Peyton Manning, non-Peyton Manning scandal, somewhat scandal, not scandal, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Again, of course, like I said, going back to our caller, I mean, when it comes to the fact that he used HGH, I don't think any of us really care about that. It's more or less just the double standard and the way both situations, had Brady been in that position, would have been handled. But it is funny, and it, like you said, hypocritical at its finest when it comes to Bill Polian, who, I mean, just, his hatred for the Patriots and his disdain for the Patriots is just oozing out of his, I don't know, his pores.
Well, bottom line is when Bill Polian looks at the Patriots, he looks at Bill Belichick, he looks at Robert Kraft, and he looks at Tom Brady, and he sees the roadblock in what would have been his key to a dynasty. I mean, he had built a hell of a team in Indianapolis. They competed several years, had a wealth of talent. They ran into a quarterback that played harder and a coach that just usually always had the upper hand when it came to that team. Now, there were some times where Manning got the better of Brady. There were some times when the Colts got the better of the Patriots. They weren't as many as the Patriots getting the better of them. And I think with Polian, I think there's still that disdain that you hear dripping from his voice. You hear the same thing when it comes to Tony Dungy. So I really think that it is ingrained within that blue horseshoe where you see the Flying Elvis logo, anything that's attached to it is automatically going to be evil, and it's got to be cut down, and it's got to be just dragged through the mud. And that's his M.O. And it's a shame because if you take a look at the actual football knowledge that Bill Polian has and some of the things that he was able to do when he was in Buffalo, it's hard to argue that the guy is, just completely and utterly dumb. He's not. It's just delusion when it comes to Patriot. He has Patriot derangement syndrome. I've written that article about Brady derangement syndrome, stealing off of that, that phrase that was coined by your friend, my friend, the great Jerry Thornton. I think that in a lot of respects, I think that's exactly what Polian has. It's just that the sight of that logo, the hearing of that name, the word Patriot just causes that tick within him that just won't die. It won't quit. And he's going to condescend anything that's related to the Patriots logo, and that's exactly what he did when it comes to Julian Edelman. Look, bottom line when it comes to Julian, we don't know what the situation was. His appeal was heard Monday, and we don't know what the result of that was. We're expecting, I guess it could come down as soon as tomorrow. We could even fall into next week, as some reports have indicated. We don't know what the substance was. We don't know if it was a PED, if it was identified, if that's a point that is not even valid. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on with Julian Edelman right now, and that suspension and that appeal. Regardless of what my gut reaction tells me, I think the suspension is going to be upheld. And as much as it pains me to say that, and as much as I think it's a miscarriage of justice, it just seems to be the MO of the front office. And I just don't see it being overturned, even if the overturning is exactly what should happen. We saw it happen a couple of years ago with Tom Brady. There's no way that he should have been suspended 4 games for that. But yet they dug their heels in, and it became a federal court case. I don't think that will happen in this case. I don't think Edelman is going to, appeal it to quite that level. This was a completely different circumstance. But, it's just unbelievable. It really, really is. And it's sad because as the caller that called in was, very eloquent when he said it. I thought when it came to, putting something in, your body, I think it's so ingrained in the game of football that it's almost like you don't really bat an eyelash when it comes to that. People are it's almost complacent. Whereas in baseball, it's like you're absolutely done for. I mean, you're banished to, the ends of the earth without any possibility of any human contact, and you're never heard from again. But in football, it's almost like, well, okay, it's the game you play, and, we're actually surprised that, more people aren't doing it.
No, and that's and we don't really know because testing for HGH is not a perfect science. They haven't, it's gotten more accurate over the years, but it's always something that it's going to be hard to stay ahead of, and you never know what new people. There's certain segment of people that are going to use it for an advantage, and others that use it for healing and trying to recover. And it's. You can't really sit there and try to distinguish between the two. I think it's just a matter of, the player is responsible. They put that in their body, and I think that, for whatever reason, most of the time this happens with play. I mean, you think of Rodney Harrison, before he retired, he got busted for 4 games for PEDs, and that was, coming off a pretty big injury of his own. So, I mean, it's most of these suspensions are due to that, and I'm kind of with you. Where it's like, I'm a little bit more optimistic than I was when the suspension was originally announced, but I really don't see this being overturned, and I really don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. I mean, the guy is, either he's 32 now or going to be 32, and he's coming off a torn ACL. I'll give him 4 extra weeks in the summer to get healthy and get ready to play. So, so my gut is telling me that, he's going to sit out 4 games, but I would like to see it at the very least reduced, and it's certainly a possibility. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a possibility of that. I don't see it. Like I said, my gut tells me that it's going to be upheld, and it's probably the 4 games are going to be upheld. I think you make an interesting point. I think this could absolutely be a blessing in disguise for the Patriots and for Edelman. First of all, it allows the Patriots to carry an extra receiver, kind of see what they have within that receiving core. There's a lot of guys that they may have their eyes on. A lot of people that they could possibly see as being fits in that wide receiver core. And we went into that a little bit last week. The other thing is that it gives Julian Edelman a chance to fully heal. It gives him a little bit more time to get back on the field, work out, albeit away from the team. But this is a guy he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing, just the same as Brady did when he had to serve his suspension a couple of years ago. These guys were in pretty good condition. Brady came back from a 4-game suspension, win a Super Bowl. So I think that it could end up working to their advantage in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you would rather see Edelman back on the field, especially when you got the first 4 games on the schedule that are not going to be easy games. These guys, the Patriots have their work cut out for them to begin the season. But I think in the long run, it's even though football season does move very quickly, I think players will tell you they'll liken it more to a marathon than a sprint. It's about the long picture. It's about getting deep into January and into February. It's not about winning games in September and early September. So, we'll take it for what it's worth. We'll see what the ruling ends up being. I know a lot of people, are up in arms about it, and there will be the crowd that will just say that, anything that happens Patriot is going to be, that Goodell will be vilified one more time. Not that I ever mind that. I think that's actually pretty funny, and I think it's actually pretty well deserved. But when it comes to, how this actually will shake out, if people take the long view of this and they take a look at what exactly could, be the results of a 4-game suspension for Julian Edelman, I think the positives outweigh the negatives here.
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to jump right into a little game for us to play here, and it kind of sticks to the theme of what we've been talking about, and it's Patriots derangement syndrome, Brady derangement syndrome, just general Patriots hate. But the thing with Patriots hate is it doesn't really know any boundaries or limits, and by that I mean from your everyday quote unquote fan who watches, probably no Patriots football aside from, glimpses or highlights, to the paid verified journalist. So this is what I'm going to do, Mike. I'm going to read a tweet, and basically you're just going to guess whether it was a verified journalist or just a troll. So I think there should be a little bit of fun. I want to see who you can distinguish, if you can distinguish the two. Think you're ready?
I am ready.
Well, you know what they say. If you're ready, give me a...
Oh, hell yeah!
I'm trying to work that one.
I thought you were going to come up with the sound bite with Triple H where he goes, "Are you ready?"
Oh, see? Oh, man, you know what? Redo. We're starting the show over. I'm going to get that in. We're an hour and 23 minutes. Okay, I'll remember that. So when we
what
hit
about
the
editing?
hour
You can do editing, my friend.
No, I believe in keeping everything out, on legitimate. I don't want to edit. So if we, say anything or do anything, I want that there. Unless we say something stupid, then I will edit that out. So.
No, absolutely. I agree with you.
Well, okay. So here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to read the tweet, and you're going to tell me, is it a troll or a journalist? Ready?
I am ready.
Okay. First one. TB12 client Julian Edelman reportedly popped 4 games for PEDs. Do PEDs make you more pliable? Mike, is that a journalist or a troll?
I'm going to go with a verified journalist on that one. That drips of sarcasm.
It does. Now, I'm going to tell you are correct. Now, I'll give you extra points. Fictitious points that I'm just making up right now because, I didn't really plan the winnings for you here. But fictitious points, let's just say points. Just like, that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where everything's made up and the points don't matter. These points do matter. It means you're a winner, Mike. So, for extra points, who tweeted that?
I'm guessing Boston Globe Patriots beat writer Ben Volen.
Ooh, so close. So close. You're in the same ballpark, let's just put it that way. And by ballpark, I mean the cesspool of the Boston Globe.
Oh, if it's the cesspool, it can't be. Was it Shank?
Yes.
It was.
Dan Shaughnessy, his ever so joyful self, tweeted that on the 7th of June. So I thought that was a good one. I wanted to throw that one in there.
Yeah, that had Globe written all over it. I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, Troll and Bolin. That's a good guess. I mean, you're kind of like I said.
Yeah, I call that a somewhat moral victory, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get Dan Shaughnessy. That's something I probably should have gotten.
Well, they all read off the same playbook, so I'm sure.
That is
I'm sure Bolin would have said the same exact thing. So congratulations, Mike. You got points. I don't know how many points, but you got points, and they mean something. So congratulations, you got the first one. Second one. Now we obviously, unfortunately, we saw the news surrounding Janoris Jenkins recently. The dead body found in his building. Fortunately, he was not at the scene, but of course that has drawn some parallels to certain players that used to play for the Patriots. Now, this next tweet, I want you to tell me, is it a journalist or a troll? And here's the tweet. Well, this one couldn't have been done by Aaron Hernandez. Do you have the answer, Mike?
I would really hope that no one who makes their living as a journalist would make a joke like that. I've got to go with a troll.
Oof. I'm sorry to say, but you are wrong. That is Mr. Verified, Mr. Wins aren't a quarterback stat. Your friend and my friend, Mr. Scott Cashmere of Football Outside.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
I had a feel.
There's a guy that loves to call the Patriots fan base despicable. I mean, come on. Man. All right, I'll reserve comment. I'll be good.
Well, I thought you were actually going to have your Scott sense up. I thought you were actually going to get that one and just be like, you know what, that's so despicable.
I probably should have.
That had to have been
back
his.
On it. I mean, that's a despicable, vile comment to make, and who else would make a despicable, vile comment but a despicable, vile human being? So, I think that's pretty much I'm embarrassed for not getting that.
Well, it's best out of 3, so you have one more chance to be a winner here. So you got one right, one wrong. I got one more for you. You ready? You nervous?
I am.
Your heart racing? Are you sweating a little bit?
A little bit.
Well, that might be a heart attack, so you might want to call the doctors when the show's over. So, but here is the next tweet, and I quote, LeBron is a better playoff performer than Brady, too. Do you know the answer? Troll?
When you say two, is that like TOO, meaning as well?
Yeah, 2. And it was in response to a tweet that said, Brady's record is 5-3 in the Super Bowl. My guy isn't 3-6. So, this is like, can you use that word in a sentence? I didn't think that far ahead.
Oh my God.
Would you like me to repeat the tweet?
Yes, repeat the tweet, please.
Okay, all right, I will. So, this person tweeted, LeBron, as in LeBron James, for anyone out there that didn't know who I was talking about, LeBron is a better playoff performer than Brady, 2, TOO.
Let's see. That's grammatically incorrect and really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm going to go with professional journalist.
Oh, and you have won, and I wish I had some better music to play. And this was actually kind of a trick question because I was trying to throw you off a little bit. This is the second tweet I used today from our friend Scott Cashmere. So you are correct. That is and I use this term loosely, a professional journalist.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you have it.
Classless humor and lack of grammar knowledge. Yeah, that's pretty much right on the mark. I would say that fits right into the narrative.
Well, and just to point out to anyone out there listening, the fact that Mike even had to think about these statements as whether or not they were journalists or
that shows how
trolls.
dumb I am.
Well, no, I mean, look, I made up the question, so I knew the answers, but man, I might have had a hard time figuring that out, especially those last two. That last one had like Sports Talk Joe written all over it. If anyone out there who knows, I don't follow the guy, but you know, he's kind of famous for being just a vile
professional troll.
member of the Twitter community. Yes. But there you have it. There's our first game. We'll do some more of those. I think that's fun. I think I enjoyed that, and I like to try to fool you, Mike. So
I enjoyed being the inaugural contestant. I think that was pretty good. Yeah, definitely. The seat definitely got hot. There's no question about it, my friend.
Well, I knew you were sweating. I knew you were nervous, and you know, that's the thing. You can't go back on what you said because it's all out here now. So, congratulations.
That's right. It's out.
You did win. So, congratulations. You're 1-0. Well, technically 2-1, but when it comes to winning games, you're 1-0. So, congratulations, Mike. You win.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very honored and humbled.
No, I wouldn't be. It's not that much of an honor. I'm just, you know, I wouldn't be too proud of it. I'm just saying.
Hey, don't ruin my
we
moment here. What are you doing?
Sorry, I apologize, Mike. I can be a cynic sometimes. Well, like I said, we're going to do some more of those. I did actually have some audio to play to go along with that, but that was one of the couple that didn't actually upload. So again, you know, we will work these kinks out as we move forward. But we've talked about a lot of stuff today. I mean, I definitely need to rest my voice because it is it's acting like I haven't been talking a lot on the radio, and that's true. We did take a few week break, but now we're full force into this Patriots podcast, and this being the second episode, I would say that we were quite pleased at how it's gone, and we had a couple great guests today. So.
Absolutely, just like the great Eric Bischoff, back and better than ever.
And that again, there's so many times, so many things that you've said that just would be perfect moments to drop certain little sound clips that I just don't have, but I will have. I will perfect this. I will get this down. It will be on point. I think we'll be good. But yeah, for the most part, I think, you know, we pretty much covered just about every topic. I know next week we're going to dive right back into it, and hopefully we will be able to talk about the Julian Edelman outcome. I mean, I'm sure we will. I mean, there's no way that there's not going to be a ruling by next Wednesday. So
yeah,
I imagine
I think by
that'll
then
be a topic.
We'll have much more information. You know, inching closer and closer to training camp, and you know, I think it's definitely good that you know, football is coming back, and you know, we can finally talk about the action on the field and not about you know, whose feelings are hurt or who's locked out of the TB12 clinic or who's throwing footballs in Monaco. I think, you know, a lot of that stuff has run its course. I think we're ready to start talking about the action on the field.
No, it's funny how quickly those things did run their course too, and it's like they never happened. And we talked about it last week, where it felt like, you know, we got years worth of drama and just nonsense in a 3.5 month span. So I think we're all just about ready to get down to football. And you know, next time we're on the air, it's going to be July 1st, which means it's training camp month. So we are ripping and roaring. We are getting there, and then before you know it, we're going to actually have some football to watch and dissect. So I know I'm excited. I know you're
absolutely
excited. I mean, hell, I know Scott Zolak.
I love Tom Brady.
Yes, I love Tom Brady too, and I love watching him play football, and I can't wait to watch him play football again, and I can't wait to watch this team and all these teams play football, because football is just an unbelievable sport, and the fact that we get to sit here and talk about it and have a little fun and, you know, poke fun at some of the people that we don't get along with necessarily, it's definitely a joy to do, and I hope that you know, we will be doing this for a very long time, and I hope people actually listen. So I do want to say thanks
and
again.
Definitely. I mean, you know, we do take our liberties here. You know, I've said a couple of things about guys like Polian and guys like Kazmar, gentlemen that I absolutely have nothing against personal. You know, I want everybody to know that. You know, we take our shots just like they take their shots, and you know, I think it's good to have that banter back and forth. But football is the great equalizer, and really there is nothing like the NFL season. You know, the anticipation of every week's game is just something that, you know, is a reason why we're all doing what we do. It's infectious, it's absolutely riveting, and it's tons of fun. So whatever we can do to help that be more fun for you guys, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely, and again, like I said, I want to thank Steven and Chris for coming on the show, and we absolutely look forward to having them on the show from here on out. You know, we're going to have some regular guests that we all, you know, just like Murph last week. You know, we enjoy talking to all of them, and it's going to be a lot of fun to keep doing that, especially when the season kicks off. So other than that, I mean, I think that is going to be a wrap on tonight's show. I know my voice is about to go out, so I don't know if I could talk about too much more. I got some Fargo to watch, so maybe I'll do that. So once again, Mike, thank you very much for joining me. If you guys are out there and you want to follow Mike on Twitter, it's at MDABATEFPC, and of course he is the managing editor of our Full Press Patriots page on fullpresscoverage.com. And you can follow the FPC Patriots account. It's at FPC_Patriots, and you'll see information about our show, which, you know, is going to be up momentarily once we finish here. So if you missed it or you just tuned in late, you can, you know, start from the beginning. You can fast forward, skip the parts that you hated, re-listen to the ones that you loved, and then in a couple hours and from here on out, it'll be up on YouTube. So again, check out youtube.com, search for Full Press Coverage, and then you can find all the podcasts on Full Press Coverage page, and you can see an option up at the top. And also, if you're into daily fantasy, again, I encourage you to go to the front page and click on the icon that says Thrive Fantasy, sign up for an account, and you know, just start playing. I mean, all you need is a couple bucks, and you can have some fun, and can make some of these baseball nights go a little bit quicker, and before you know it, it'll be football season all over again, and hopefully you'll be making some money by then. So again, thank you very much, Mike, and last but not least, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at IGLEN31, and with that said, I say good night, Mike, and good night to all the listeners out there.
Have a good night, all. Thank you all for the support, and thanks for listening. We'll be back at you next week.
Well said, my man. Well said. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
For Adam Vinatieri, 48-yard field goal attempt. Set to go. Snap, ball down. Kick up. Kick is on the way, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the game is over, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions! The best team in the net!
It's official. Weekends at Buffalo Wild Wings just got better. For a limited time, get $3 select domestic pint beers and $4 select shareables all day Saturday and Sunday. Weekends are also for sports, as mandated by Buffalo Wild Wings. Watch all the games with people that are here for the right reason, with dozens of beers on tap and 21 different flavors of sauces and seasonings. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. See participating location for details. Restrictions apply. Please drink responsibly. Every Tuesday at a Buffalo Wild Wings near you, when you purchase a traditional snack or small wing, you get one free. Yep, you heard that right. A free traditional snack or small wing. We're making Tuesdays twice as good. Enjoy award-winning and authentic Buffalo, New York-style wings, hand-spun in your choice of one of our 21 signature sauce and seasonings. Valid at participating locations for a limited time for dine-in and takeout. Restrictions apply. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.